Welcome to the Inside Integration Podcast. My name is Chris. I'm joined, as always, by my partner Jayson, right over there.
What's up, everybody?
He might be in the process of being run over by a very classic automobile behind him. There you go.
Ah!
Look
Yeah,
out!
so you need to tune into the video portion of our podcast to get that joke. But yeah, I've been relegated here to my basement, garage, storage area, whatever you want to call it, in my home. I have some family in town, and my office is not my office when we need room for an air mattress and a human to sleep. So
Right,
I'm
fair.
sure they appreciate all the toys and posters and trinkets of my childhood
There is a
around them.
there is a chance that your mom is upstairs right now doing a podcast of her own and just trashing us as we go, which would be great. That would be fine. Just
I,
make sure she
I
links
mean,
to us.
I was going to say, just like and describe, and make sure that we're cross promoting because it's a small community out here. The internet is this world's smallest town, and there you have it. But yeah, we're coming to you live from the parking garage du Savage with a hot rod here behind me. So it's not a virtual backdrop; it's actually a real car. So there you have it.
And completely not on brand at all for Washington State. You've got a beard, you're in a bunker,
Yeah,
there's car
I'm white.
parts
I'm 50
around.
years old.
Right.
There's a shiny thing that's really noisy behind me. Yeah, I mean, I've almost got the knee high white socks, which apparently is a cool thing now with the New Balance. But yeah, they do the sock check, I guess, on some of the Instagram channels that somehow have found their way into my my algorithm. It's like, oh, sock check fool. I'm like, dude, just go to a car show. There's a bunch of 60 and 70-year-old guys walking around that have got,
Same
socks up to their knees or maybe
same New
over.
Balance 967s or whatever they are. Yeah, that's
Oh
the
yeah.
that's how we're going. It's funny though because it's definitely a flat circle because my 8-year-old is now all about wearing pull up high socks with his Crocs. So there,
That's the thing.
there's a
Yeah, the
there's a
kids
bridge here, right?
Yeah, the kids are like, oh, low socks. Those are for Gen Xers. Like ankle socks.
My
What are you, a
dad wears
millennial?
those.
What are you doing? And I'm like, what are you talking about? These are Gen Alpha kids I've got in my house, right? So like, just no quarter. Like, oh, Dad, you're lame. You're wearing low socks. You need to get these high boys, over the calf, under the knee, right? Like,
Yeah, you
what?
gotta you gotta roll out like some old school like 80s, with like a red and a blue stripe on top. It's just a tube sock, and pull out your roller skates and show them how it is, buddy.
Man, red and blue. Like, what is this? Crips and Bloods? Like, you better watch where you're wearing your colors there, son. You got to go straight white so nobody can say anything to you.
I
Nobody
mean,
knows what set you're. Nobody knows what set you're
it's
claiming.
all the rage in the United States' bicentennial year, before gangs existed, right?
Oh,
That's
that's true. That is true. I forgot about that. Yeah, right. Like right out there on your way, like out to Riverside or whatever. There's that big cement slough that's got like 1776 painted on it
so that
since
would
the
be
bicentennial.
Prado Dam, and we are
Oh
we're
yeah, the Prado Dam.
yeah, we're camping there this year. That's one of the spots that's on our YMCA list for the season. So let's see what we can do at Prado Dam. I don't know what, but whatever.
Okay, well, there's my joke coming full circle without any intention on any of that. So
Yeah.
there we have it.
So and now that everybody is tuned away from sock talk, we've got a
Yeah,
nice clean
exactly.
slate to get into. We're all kind of harried here because we're about a month away from CEDIA at this point.
I know the my calendar's filling out for meetings. I've got all kinds of vendor stuff going on. We've got a bunch of big announcements coming down the pipe, which is kind of exciting. It's always you know, I think CEDIA sort of has like waves, kind of like the 7 layers of acceptance or whatever, like
Right. So,
12 steps. Like
yeah,
you've got
we're in
anger,
bargaining.
you've got sadness, you've got excitement, then you're like, you're angry again, you've got agita because there's all this uncertainty, and are these new products going to be, ready to go? Is there a firmware on it? Is it going to light up? Like, I have so much PTSD from the vendor world. that
Yeah, that's
ramping up,
true. On the rep
ramping up.
side, if you're on the manufacturer side, it's a whole different set of pressure. But if you're on the rep side, something fails, you just stand there and talk crap with your dealer and like, it's these guys, whatever, and you just move on to the next booth.
Yeah, well, it was always supposed to be a static display. What you just
We're just showing the prototype.
you just keep it moving. You don't even have to focus on it. I don't even see that broken thing over there.
I don't know what that
we're
is.
we're here to talk about all the shiny things. Look over there. That's not to brush over it, but honestly, this is a great opportunity for us to connect with all of our guys out there and really kind of continue the conversation that you and I have on a weekly basis about what's happened in the industry, new product announcements, what's going on with your business, what's happening with the guy across town that you love/hate so much, whatever that looks like, what your year's going to look like. I think outside of the social experiment that CEDIA always seems to be, that there are some pretty solid meat and potatoes that anybody that invests the time can get out of it. But,
oh yeah, there's going to be. I mean, every indicator so far is that this is going to be a big show. It seems like manufacturers are primed for this to be a pretty big show. I mean, Sony as usual has like a square city block of, they're gonna have all their stuff there, but Josh is gonna have some new products that you're able to pick up and hold. And I mean, SI, we got off a call. I mean, SI is they're launching like 10 different things. Like it's just an
some of them we're not
amount.
allowed to talk about. So
right.
be excited about the fact that we know something that somebody else doesn't know. So you and I should feel pretty good
for once.
About that for once. Yeah. But in all seriousness, they've doubled down on the shade thing, which I kind of figured they were already all in.
Yeah.
But with the new origami product that they have just recently here launched and announced this week, we'll be able to do bottom up shades, be able to do angles. I mean,
yep.
I think anything that's not round, basically they have a solution for.
Those weird triangular windows and trapezoids and all that stuff. And I mean, for a major manufacturer,
terrible at geometry. I don't even know what those shapes are. But I think the only thing they can't do is hourglass, right? Because you'd still have to pass the wide part through the skinny part. But regardless of that.
But if you've got an hourglass window in your house, you probably have a teardrop window on your van with a wizard painted on the side. So, maybe not our target market, right?
Yeah, or maybe absolutely our target market, but just depends on who you ask on what day of the week. Again, in all seriousness, I'm excited about what this has to offer because up until now, that lane has been solely reserved for the ultra high end, and it's a complicated process to try to figure out how to maybe make some of that stuff work.
Yeah.
I think with the flow software that they've got and some of these new solutions should be a pretty solid pretty solid offering to help make making more of your shade jobs all SI as opposed to because I have to piecemeal it, I'll just go with the other brand.
Right.
Here's a way to deliver it all and keep it in the SI ecosystem.
Well, I mean, previous to this, the other big shade manufacturer, like that, it wasn't even an option. Like you had to go to a third party, they had to customize your shade. There was a whole thing, and that process worked. But I mean, this is all through one thing. It all works within the SI ecosystem. So like, SI's big famous thing is like, however you want to control these shades. High voltage, Somfy RTS, low voltage, PoE, whatever you want. Like this is your shade line. And
if you're using their Helen of Troy and all of the new ecosystem that they developed from last year, we've started to see that sort of take off. I know from my guys that are using SI, the control, doesn't really seem to be an issue, right? It all seems to talk to each other and work.
Yeah.
Pretty happily, making sure that you've got the right shade ordered.
Well, I mean, and that's always an obstacle to doing shades, right? Especially as you're getting up to it, the measurements and all that. It's it's a process.
Expectation is, again, the expectations for maybe what a client has versus what, if you're just getting into the shade business, what you think it's going to take to do, just, I would say, do a T in, time and material in your first few shade jobs until you can, figure out where you're actually at or what it's going to cost to do
Yep.
per window and that kind of stuff. But outside of the mechanics of that, exciting to know that we've got some cool new products to talk about and some solutions to, again, try to draw some more business over to our partners at SI. That benefits, of course, them, but also benefits me and benefits lots of clients and lots of our dealers out there. So
Yep.
always good to have new tools in the tool belt.
Yeah, and they are going to have a lot going on in their booth. They showed us the layout and everything else. Everything's going to be there for you to touch, feel, taste if you want,
Oh,
and all that, all that good stuff.
right. Well, I mean, speaking of some of the big booths that we know will be substantial, we've talked. Let's talk about it. It's the S brands, right? We know that Sony's going to
All the
be,
S's.
it's not hiss, it's right. We got Sony going to obviously have a huge presence. They always do at CEDIA Screen Innovations, who we've just talked about. Word on the street is that Sonance might have a small footprint on the floor. We've been told that there's probably at least an hour's worth of entertainment that you can get out of just that booth alone between the demos and the product info. And they do such a great job with
Oh yeah.
the conceptual stuff, like last year where they had the roll down doors and they did the even balance coverage demo. How do you top that one?
It's true,
Like,
and everything. I mean, everything with Sonance is always really, really well thought out. Like you can tell that they have probably been working on just people flow. They have spent a lot of cycles on, okay, how do we move people through this thing? How do we keep people engaged? And that, I mean, that is always a must hit. There's no, there's no way around it. Like you have to hit the Sonance booth. It's always one of like the top three in the demos in the place. And the funny thing is, it's they're speakers and they're great speakers, but the way that they present themselves and the way that they do everything at these shows is just, man, second to
it
none.
looks like the rich guy's house on the neighborhood street,
It's
right?
smart.
Like,
Yeah.
like no offense to any of the vendors out there, but if you're looking down the row and you're like, okay, yeah, a nice
Yard
place,
sale, yard
looks
sale, yard
great,
sale.
maybe not as nice as some of these others, and then you're like, what is that? And you realize that that's not just like something part of the convention center, right? Like that doesn't live there full time.
Right.
Oh, this is the Sonance booth that looks like it has a multi-million-dollar house in the middle of it. Or I have no idea what the plans are for this year. I'll be excited to see firsthand when we get there.
Yeah, we're in the dark about it too, so it's gonna be exciting. And yeah, man, can't wait to see what they got. And that's I mean, yeah, our S brands, right? So Sony, Sonance, Screen Innovations, Salamander, they always have
Oh,
a huge spread with all their stuff. It's the only way to really just check it out. Check out the fit and finish, sit in the chairs, make sure that, it's and it's always great, and those guys, man, they are
yeah,
just awesome.
yeah. We heard again that they're doubling down on what's going on with the footprint for their booth. So with AV Basics being such a huge part of their business, furniture being a huge part of their business, again, more in the dark announcements, things that have been hinted and alluded to. But I believe it's Salamander, excuse me, is going to have uh, potentially a cool new product launch out there, and certainly be able to illustrate some of the benefits and the value of going to business with a company like that. I mean, again, those AV Basics chairs, I still have dealers that call me on a daily basis. He's like, "Are you sure that shipping is included with this chair? Because it seems very affordable compared to what I'm used to when I order custom seating." And the answer is it's not a custom chair, so it's still a really nice one.
Yep.
So they have a set price. So maybe your perception's a little kind of off kilter there, but it's again exciting to see that we'll have new stuff to show with them. Furniture is always one of those things that kind of sticks around longer than technology or what have you. And I think the guys at Salamander have been in the game long enough that they know how to make stuff that A, lasts, and B, looks like it belongs in your living room for a long time.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, there's other, again, one of the biggest benefits of this show is to be able to see something that you would not, you're not going to get to see this in a YouTube video or on our website or whatever. And a lot of times, bringing a sample around is not exactly efficient. And, what I'm trying to segue into here a little bit is our friends at MadVR, who they have one of the most compelling demos I think that I've ever seen, where it comes to video, right? Like they literally have, it's a side by side. This is unprocessed video. This is processed video. And you can absolutely tell the difference between, what's not processed and what's running through a MadVR. And you can really see those benefits. And, that's something that I'm really looking forward to is checking out that MadVR booth and just seeing it in person. Cause man, that's another thing that, it's worth going to the show just to see these things so that you can put these MadVRs in your client systems and just give them a better experience. It's,
Yeah, video processing has always sort of been like this black box world of investment where it's kind of like buying a really nice steak or a really nice bottle of wine. Like, one day, or that you spent X amount of dollars on this thing, and it's got a finite shelf life objectively, right? Like, time is going to march on, technology is going to march on, and at some point, this box may or may not be relevant to improving my situation. The cool thing about MadVR is that it's software based,
yep.
so they're not stuck on hardware necessarily. If video outputs or inputs change, if frame rate changes, all of that stuff is scalable based on technology. And in the PC gaming world, all of that hardware is readily available. So when you think about how they're positioned to source components, write software, and utilize capabilities that kind of flexible architecture gives you, I'm pretty excited about it. Looks like pricing is right around $5,000 or $6,000, which is plus or minus 50% of what the current MadVR product retails for out there. And for people that are doing big video walls, they're doing projection, they're doing anything where you'd like even if it's like a mission critical thing where you've got to have the frame rate and the color and all of that stuff match on multiple displays. I think that's where MadVR serves serves up the best possible option for those solutions. Sorry, I'm looking around here. Anybody watching me on camera, there's things happening in my garage that I'm not used to. So there's like sounds and stuff that are happening. I'm about to get sprayed with molten hot water. Like there's a washer and dryer over here, so there's like noises and stuff that are happening that are a little distracting. So I apologize for my snapping my head around like I'm about to get run over by a car or something like that. Little crazy here. So again, another reason to tune in to the video portion of our podcast, so you can see me absolutely panic-stricken by background noise here in my domicile.
Yeah, and back to MadVR. I mean, you're one of the you're definitely one of the best people to kind of weigh in on video quality and these kind of things. For me personally, I've never dove far enough into it to really be able to speak in an informed way on what the difference is and what this thing brings to the table. I've only seen the demo, and the demo there is a stark difference between processed video and unprocessed video. And Jayson, with your extensive history with displays and TVs,
people ask, right? They're like, "Hey, does this video scaler is that going to make the picture better?" And the answer is, if it doesn't, then it's not a very good video scaler.
It's supposed to.
If you see a value in getting the best video quality possible out of your sources, out of your display, and let's face it, some people spend some pretty solid money on entertainment devices, so a couple extra bucks, relatively speaking, to get the most out of that is sort of like putting new wheels or on your car, or new headers, or whatever it is performance gain wise that you want to draw a line to, just like modifying that system, right? So the whole frame by frame analysis, and the things that the MadVR can do just isn't possible on something that's about the size of a Cheez-It,
Right.
in terms of what a video processor chip looks like inside of a TV, just so when you think of like, okay, well, if I had a whole bunch more processing real estate, what could I make this thing do? That's where the value for MadVR comes in.
And
That's again, the broad strokes, but in reality, I think it's a really solid product all the way around the board.
yeah, and I mean, and they're being very aggressive. They have a new box. It's half the size, it's half the price that it was before. So that's going to be the thing that they're probably pushing at the show, and the thing that we should start seeing in our territory. I mean, it's worth mentioning that we don't represent MadVR. We just thought it was cool.
No, I think it's a really cool product. And one of the new things that's to be talked about here at CEDIA. Actually, we were talking about S brands before, and although it's not an S brand per se, it has BlueOS. So our friends over at BlueSound and the Lenbrook family of products will also have some really cool new announcements this year. I know that the Rubicor speakers that they just launched will be out on the floor. I believe they'll also be in a demo space where we'll be able to hear them. But given, let's say, some of the frequency of phone calls I've received about the other big streaming audio platform out there that starts
Sonos.
Sonos, that's right.
Yeah.
Starts with an S that we do not represent.
We don't rep them. It's fine.
Our partners at BlueSound certainly have upped the ante, right? Like even from last year when they came out with BlueOS 4.0, the stability of that product has shone through, and I have seen more and more dealers asking about, well, what's BlueSound give me that Sonos doesn't? Of course, high res audio performance. Let's face it, a lot of it is very similar in terms of, you'll have sound bars, you'll have subwoofers, you'll have rear surrounds, you'll have portable speakers, a family of products that all work together. But in the terms of like a true hardcore CI, BlueSound is cooked into a lot of the things that they've got in their lineup. Whether it's the BlueSound streamers themselves, or even that C580, which kind of sounds like this unicorn product
Yeah.
that everybody at Sonos has been asking about. Could I get like a 1U product, 1U box with a single Ethernet port on it that's got 4 outputs on it, maybe, so I can do 4 zones independently and feed that around? Could I get that from Sonos? Absolutely not. But our folks, our pals over at Lenbrook, however, have cooked that up with the NAD C580. So obviously you got BlueSound, you've got NAD, and then you've got 2 speaker brands under that house with PSB and of course Dolly, which is a brand that we represent. I'm excited to see what they bring to the table this year, what the Rubicor products are going to sound like, and then of course kind of bring that energy to bear against what we're seeing with some of the problems that some people are facing with the other big streaming products.
Well, that's,
out there.
I mean, in our pre-show here, like it's, the amount of, and I don't really do dealer support too much anymore, but like the amount of texts and calls that I've gotten about how broken the Sonos app is right now, just really, it brought me right back to my days as a dealer when, these giant companies just come out with a software update and everybody hates it. Like, how do you absolutely step on a rake in this degree? Like this thing is busted. They took features out of it.
I don't even know all of the intrinsic differences between the two in terms of what they had versus what they eliminated with this update. But what I have heard and what I've seen firsthand with playing with BlueSound myself is that the BlueOS app has absolutely improved over time, and minus native Apple Music integration, which you can overcome with Apple AirPlay 2, newsflash. Everything is there that you would want, and it even has intelligence to build a playlist based on the profiles and the players that are in the rooms. Like, hey, this is Dad's office. This is where Dad listens to music. I'm gonna keep a separate playlist of music that's just played in this room,
Yep.
so that when he comes in here, it'll play the music that he likes. That's happening in different areas of the house with your clients. Maybe it's mom's room or the kids' room or what have you. Those players and those profiles will build intelligence based around that stuff. Those are things I frankly haven't heard of from anybody else.
Yeah, and I mean, it comes down to, obviously when Sonos pays an app developer, like we're not necessarily their target market, right? Like custom integrators are not necessarily Sonos's bread and butter, right? Like it's, and that was evident a few years ago when they closed off the API and all the stuff that went on with that, just to try and push everybody into the app and all that. BlueSound is like, it's very much made for integrators. It's a nice, open, simple.
All of their products. Yeah, it's cooked into everything that they make that has or has the ability to be cooked into everything that they make, right? So if it doesn't stream, it probably doesn't sell so well, right? So they have options for both. Again, sorry not to cut you off there, but it's a pretty cool lineup. And sorry, it geeks me out for my hi-fi phase that I'm in right now. Like I've reached a plateau, Chris. Again,
you're in your hi-fi era.
Yeah. Level 5. I've got music playing all the time. I've got a collector car, and I'm looking for some high socks.
There you go. Hey, and that your AARP membership application is in the mail. So,
oh man, that's right. I can start getting discounts and benefits.
I mean, cheap movies, right? That's a good reason right there. You're all set. You can go see Deadpool as a senior citizen.
Oh man, sad side note. I went out, took my daughter out for makeup birthday dinner last night with my mom, and the only movies that were actually at the movie theater that were connected to where we were having our dinner last night was Longlegs, which is apparently a Nicolas Cage vehicle, and Wolverine and Deadpool on God knows how many screens simultaneously.
It's a hit.
I shudder. I shudder for the folks that are in the movie business in general, because that vehicle for content is, it's challenged. That's why everybody wants to have one at home.
I mean, I'll tell you, I think the other side of that, I feel that way too, right? I feel like it's probably, maybe we've prolonged the life of actual in-person theaters. And there's been a lot of things that are done, right? Like improving the technology in theaters, right? Making it more of an experience, making it more of a thing, better seats that recline so that you can, put your elbow there and, get in somebody's gum or whatever, right? Like, dinner, you can order food if for some reason you want to, eat overpriced chicken parm while you're watching a movie. But
we're a long ways away from lining up outside for a movie like I
right.
used to.
Assigned seats and all that good stuff, right? Like these are all things that are whatever. And I mean, I'll be honest, it hooked. My kids love going to see movies in person. Like I got dragged to go see Despicable Me 4, there were 6 kids in our group and a bunch of parents, and like, okay, great. Bought all the tickets online, had assigned seating, rolled in, and I'm, $100 something bucks lighter. Because of
$100 and something bucks. You must have had a Groupon or something, buddy, because that sounds like sounds like a pretty steep afternoon.
But it is effective because it is pulling people in, right? Like there's still an advantage to going to the theater and having that experience, and that's all good. Obviously, if I had the means, I would definitely want a 120-inch screen in my own house, so I didn't have to do it. And I keep trying to tell my wife, like, hey, with what we would save in movie tickets in 65 years, it would pay for itself. But there's something there, right? But yeah,
I agree. I agree. I know it's again, it's just it's a funny sidebar just to see where things are out there, and I hope that Hollywood continues to crank out blockbuster movies, and AMC and all that stuff continues to be a thing. But from what we saw yesterday, their opportunities are maybe a little limited by the content available.
Well, I mean, hey, there's got to be something there, right? They just paid, would Robert Downey Jr. make like $80 million to play a different character in the Marvel universe, right? So he's playing Doctor
Doom,
which. Yeah. Okay, so you're going from Iron Man for 6 movies or 10 movies or whatever that was, and now you're just going to be let's see where this goes. But obviously, if you're able to pay Robert Downey Jr. $80 million, there's money to be made in cinema still.
Do you know
It's
how
still
much
out
money
there.
it costs to get into Disney World, buddy?
It's approximately, yeah, you could probably figure out the percentage that your ticket is of that $80 million. Not too difficult, right?
Pretty quick. They just take a day of parking or two, and they just start, moving it around. I mean, that's their favorite ride. Disney's like, oh, we love the parking ride. You pay us $30 to just park your car outside before you even come in the park.
Yep.
And how many cars do we have out there? Oh, we've got 100,000.
Exactly.
It's a good day, boys and girls. Just turn the lights off, send everybody.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
haven't walked in the door yet.
at the risk of sounding even more like an old man, I mean, we've got Disneyland here in Anaheim, and obviously
Mhm.
it's not the Orlando experience, right? Like that is a whole different 5 parks and all that good shit. It's amazing. But I mean, even, in Anaheim, you've got 2 parks. You're exactly what you said. Like they're going to hit you up for $60 to park for the day. You don't have an option. Like, you're
Nope.
not parking in downtown Anaheim and walking into the park. It's just not going to happen.
Nope.
And, yeah, everybody's got their hand out, photo package, my kid sees another kid with one of those bubble things, and now it's gotta have that, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like
welcome
there's
to the world. They're brilliant.
there's that meme of it's like the two kids like holding like those light up things, and it's like dad had to, it's like, I think it's like an Onion post or something like that. Dad has to buy Blinky shit after, swearing up and down that he was not buying any more Blinky shit. It's just like, it's true. They got you. They see it coming, and you want your kids to be happy, and you want them to love you a little bit more. So you buy them a little trinket to just, express how much you care about them deeply, and you want them to have everything they want in their
Right. You're
in their
buying
lives
it.
and future,
Yeah,
right?
you're buying them a trinket just to, a week later step on it barefoot and then kick that
Oh,
sucker right in the trash.
yeah.
Here we are.
Again, 20 years later, to throw it in a recycling bin because, they don't want it anymore. Forgot all about it 10 minutes after you bought it, but you felt good about it at the time.
Absolutely. All right, brother. We got anything else
Wow.
you want to
Well, on
cover?
that note,
Hey.
we are excited to head to CEDIA here in a few weeks. But in the meantime, we've got a lot of new stuff to talk about and to cover. Looking to create some opportunities out there for marketing and messaging. So if you're a dealer or if you're an integrator that we touch, that we work with, that we talk to, we'd love to talk to you or collaborate with you about getting your message out there. If you are a vendor or somebody that listens to this podcast and you're like, hey, I've got something I'd like to contribute, reach out, let us
Yeah.
know. We'd love to have you on. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Trying to line up a few more spicy or enticing interviews out there. Working on a couple of those right now, actually. So we'll I'll allude to them, and whether they come true or not, we'll have to see what
Yeah, I
happens.
think I think it's completely within in the realm of possibility that we'll get some folks on talking about what CD is going to be, what CD is going to be like for
Sure,
their line and that kind of thing. And yeah, man, that's great. But as Jayson said, if there's interact with us, let us know. Let us know what we could do better. Let us know what you want to hear, because that's why we're here.
absolutely.
All right, everybody.
Cool.
Have a great day.
Thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.